record. All right, we're now live and recording. So we're live again with Dr. Jessica Herzog, and we're continuing our discussion on the wellness pyramid. And I think now we went through exercise last time, so now we're on rest and managing stress. And I think when we had talked before, Jessica, that we were thinking we might even break this up into a couple of conversations. So
sounds
what's
great.
what maybe let's start with some background on how sleep affects the body.
So it's one of those things that where a lot of us are going to have overlap in what we need. Some of us have different things that our body likes, but all of us need sleep. It's a really universal requirement. Now, how much you need is maybe a little bit varied from person to person, but absolutely all of us require it. And it's the main time of the day that our body's going to heal, to really rest in all capacities and allow our immune system to kind of do some cleanup work during that time. The time where our livers are going to do a lot of detoxification. So if you cut yourself short on sleep, it's going to affect you in several different areas of the body. We've known for a long time that those of us who work night shift have a significantly lower lifespan or shorter lifespan because it is just that stressful on the body. So you can sleep during the day if you're a night worker, but it's not quite the same as sleeping at night. So that's certainly a big piece of it. And I was you kind of looking into a little bit more about this. As much as 25% of Americans suffer from insomnia. That's a pretty staggering number.
So is there something important about the dark or night that's so specific about how the body's programmed? Or
yes, you've probably heard of the word circadian rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the 24-hour kind of time cycle that our body works on. And there's different hormones that are active in different time frames. So our body really does kind of have cycles. We're more awake in the morning typically. Our cortisol is a little higher, and that does correspond with the light hours. So yes, there is a light dark component to it, but it's all tied into those circadian rhythms as well.
Wow. I have noticed, when I've gone places that have blackout windows, for example, I like crash. The first time I experienced that, I went to Portugal, and it looks like we have Graça Ribeiro from Portugal online with us.
Oh, awesome.
But when I was in Portugal, they have these cool window slats that come down automatically, and they block all of the light.
Awesome.
And I remember the first time I experienced that. I don't think I even woke up till like 10 a.m. And I don't think that was all from jet lag either.
Right. Yes, you're absolutely right. So as we talk about, how can you get enough sleep and what are the things you can do, your environment. So managing the light in your environment, managing the noise in your environment, managing electronics, because we know that the blue lights from our electronics will disturb our sleep. So there are apps to regulate the blue light on your phone, or just putting your electronics away a few hours before bedtime is a fantastic strategy as well. There is also clear glasses that are blue light blocking if you don't want to use an app or a screen blocker or something like that. So you're right. The environment and how much light and noise and just overall how peaceful the environment is are huge components of it as well. The temperature. So as we fall asleep, our temperature usually drops a little bit. And if you're in a really, really warm room or a warm home or a warm climate, that can affect the quality of your sleep as well.
Negatively or positively?
Negatively if it's warm. If it's too warm, it can be hard to fall asleep.
Because I have noticed with myself, like sometimes my body temperature doesn't regulate very well, and I'll wake up just like sweating like mad sometimes. And then
Yes.
most of the time I'm like freezing to death.
Right.
So,
So the interesting thing from a Eastern medicine philosophy, heat is often given off by the liver. So so sometimes night sweats or feeling really hot at night can be, you need more liver support as well.
oh,
The
interesting.
liver, yeah, the liver does a flush typically around 3 to 5 in the morning, but other times of the night can be affected by the liver as well. So if the liver's struggling to do that normal flush or feeling a little bit more sluggish, it can definitely affect the quality of our sleep. It can actually wake people up as well.
Wow. You know, it's interesting because I wake up on the dime at 3 a.m. most mornings.
Yep. There you go. But we'll have to talk about that later.
Right. Now, the last few nights I haven't. I've been crashing out pretty good, but yeah, it's almost like clockwork, and it almost doesn't matter where I am either.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
So what is the body doing during sleep? And if we're depriving that from our body, what's happening to us?
Right. So there's, I guess I'll call it sorting out. Our body, in maybe a subconscious way, kind of sorts out the events from the day. So from a creativity standpoint, from a emotional standpoint, from just a overall mental health perspective standpoint, we do a lot of I call it sorting out. I don't know another better way to call it, but we're kind of going through the events of the day and making sense of them. And in some and so not only that, but all of those other, the liver flushes, the digestive tract rests, the immune system reboots and heals. There's so many different aspects of just general wellness that you miss out on when you go to bed too late. And the hours before midnight are really important. So my goal or my recommendation would be to try to get into bed by 10. You don't have to be asleep by 10, but at least be in bed by 10 as a minimum. Because if you can catch some sleep there before 12, ideally, close to 2 hours before 12, you're going to really have a big bang for those hours.
So what happens after 12? What's what psychologically is happening?
There's different stages of sleep. We have REM and non-REM. REM stands for rapid eye movement, and there's different depths of sleep, and we tend to sleep a little bit more deeply in those earlier hours. So your bang for your buck for those hours is just that much greater.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Fantastic. And so what other things what other things can we do to support our body? So you're saying basically we should be in bed by 10. What should be our wake up time? Or is that so important? Should we let our body naturally wake up, or what's the thing?
Yes and no. I think some of us could probably easily sleep longer. Like you said, if you were in the dark, you slept until 10, and that's probably, well, not knowing what time you went to bed, but probably as an adult, we're shooting for somewhere in the 8-hour range. Some of us are going to need 7, some of us are going to need 9. So with that 8-hour goal, see if that's something that's going to overall be feeling good. Because you're right. You do want to capitalize on when your body wants to wake up to some degree, but you don't want to let yourself go too long, because sometimes when you sleep too long, as many of us have done, then you start to feel more tired. It's almost like you overdid things in the other direction.
Right. Is there anything to early morning rising? There's a lot of people that advocate like getting up at 5 a.m.
Sure.
Or things like that. Is that
from a sleep perspective, not necessarily, but I think you're right. Just from an overall product perspective, our cortisol here in the morning. We're generally, we should be awake and alert if we've gotten those 8 hours. So I think there is some benefit overall to making sure we're capitalizing on those so if we're getting to bed by 10, that 7 to 8 hour window, right, you're getting up at 5 or 6.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. And is there a time that's too early to go to bed, or is it all dependent on when? Because the way it sounds is like there's some specific hours that the body is really optimally designed to sleep.
That are really helpful.
But
Yeah.
some people are
Yeah.
going to bed super early and getting up early. Some people are going to bed really late and getting up early. Some people are going to bed really late and getting up really late.
Right. Exactly. I would say for the average adult, shooting for somewhere between that 9 and 10 time frame, on the earlier side, if you are going to go to bed early, then to hit that 7 or 8 hour window, then you're needing to be getting up early. And if that's the type of person you are, then that can be fine too. But you're right. If you go to bed at 8 o'clock and get up at 6 o'clock, then maybe it's a little bit on the longer side. And if you're healing, if you're recovering, if you had a cold and you need some more recovery time, that can be fine for sure. But on an average basis, you probably just don't need that long.
Okay. And then, so basically now, if I'm summarizing, basically a person should be going to bed around 9 or 10 optimally, and probably getting up around 6 or so. Is that about something?
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
then when you're going to bed, you should be probably a couple hours before bed. You should be putting your phone maybe somewhere else or in
Right.
the drawer,
Right.
so
Yes.
it's not shining or creating a disruption. You should have your room as dark as possible,
Yes.
and probably control the temperature to where it's slightly cool.
Right.
And
Yes.
and setting yourself up. Now, if a person did this is probably a lot like eating better or exercising more or things like that. It's one of the things that you have control of that you can do to improve your
Right.
health. What kind of improvement would we see in our body if we gave it that prescription?
Because the inflammation or the immune system does do some resetting overnight, you can have less inflammation. And that's huge because inflammation is the root of all chronic illness. So wherever your inflammation is showing up, I would expect that whatever those little spots are in your body might feel a little bit better. The interesting thing about sleep too is in several ways it could actually affect your creativity. If your brain's going to work better, all those neat connections, and sometimes some of us get ideas overnight. We'll wake up in the middle of the night and have an idea and want to write it down, or in the morning we'll remember a dream and want to write it down. So there is some neat kind of cognitive or creativity things that happen overnight as well.
Excellent. All right. So what kind of product regimen or tools will help support this for us?
Just for general sleep. If we're just talking about what can I try to deepen my sleep, or what can I try just to enhance things, maybe you don't have a super, super crazy need. It's not like you're sleeping 1 hour a night, but maybe you just want the quality of your sleep to be a little bit better. I love the combination of cedarwood with serenity. Cedarwood, I think by itself maybe is not the most fantastic smell, but combined with serenity, it's very doable. So I like to hit all the points. So the reflex points for the brain are the thumbs, kind of the tip of the thumb, the earlobes, and the tip of the big toes. So I like to hit cedarwood and serenity in all of those places, and maybe rub the extra on your neck, because that's a kind of a good diffuser. And then if you need a little bit more, or if you just want to be sure that sleep is better that night, then putting those oils also in your diffuser can be fantastic.
Oh, excellent.
You might want to you kind of bump that up. You could add lavender to that. I'm sorry, you could add lavender instead of serenity, or you could add vetiver to that regimen as well. Something that I've heard before, and you mentioned this too, if you put balance on one temple and serenity on the other temple, maybe that's a neat trick to get your mind to be a little bit more settled.
Okay.
And just, so many inflammatory type conditions are the things that typically keep us awake. So maybe something like frankincense or turmeric, just to help with those inflammatory things. And if we're talking about, why aren't we sleeping? Could it be, a little bit of worry, or our mind is kind of spinning? So just other calming oils might be helpful. A wonderful thing that I like to do in the evening is to take an Epsom salt bath. So magnesium is Epsom salt. And you're going to get some calming effects from magnesium. So doing an Epsom salt bath, maybe putting some lavender or serenity in the bath as well, can be a really, really nice calming routine. And then again, it's the act or the relaxation practice of taking a bath and maybe listening to some calming music or meditating can all help your mind start to calm down. If you're having a lot of I think what you called it, mind chatter, I think that's a great way to describe it, where you're maybe running through your to-do list for the next day. Maybe your brain's just going, and you maybe want to write some of those thoughts down. I think keeping a pad of paper next to your bed is a fantastic idea, because if you keep running through your to-do list, get it out all on paper, then your mind doesn't have to keep it in, and you can fall asleep.
Right. I have done that before. Many times.
Yes, it's fantastic. And then if you wake up in the middle of the night and you had an idea or you had a neat dream, it's also right there to write down those ideas as well.
Cool.
Another thought about dreams, we should be remembering our dreams, or at least remembering that we did dream at least 2 times a week.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Some people might even say 3 times a week. So there's different neurotransmitters that have to do with brain health and sleep health, and remembering our dreams can be an important piece of kind of making sure we're on par with that process.
Oh, wow. That's really awesome. Fortunately, I think I remember my dreams most nights.
Good. That's great.
So I think that's a good thing. I think it's more rare that I don't have a dream that I remember, or remember that I dreamed. So that's good. If that's happening, that's a good thing.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I know, because in medical training, we'll go months and months and months with poor sleep, on call every 3rd night and 80-hour work weeks and all that kind of crazy stuff. So I remember at times, I don't remember dreaming for 6 months or a year period.
Wow.
So I think, in general, taking care of yourself and just doing those basic things, sleep and dreaming can be a nice barometer.
Wow. That's awesome. So if we're summarizing a little bit, when it comes to the product set, some of the things we touched on is understanding why you're not sleeping, whether it's worry, which would have a set of products that work with it, whether it's digestive, a set of products that work with that, whether it's pain in the body, set of products that work with that, mind chatter, there's sets of products that work with that. And I think you gave us really good tips on each one of those. So that's awesome. Well, I think we've gotten a pretty good synopsis today.
Awesome.
Is there anything else you want to add, or should we break it up, or what's your thought?
Maybe one final thought. We didn't mention caffeine. Caffeine can be a huge, huge sleep disruptor, even for some people who only drink it in the morning.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So there are some people that can be so sensitive to caffeine that one caffeinated drink in the morning can affect their sleep that night. Some people aren't. Some people can drink it right when they go to bed and everything seems fine. But I would just be mindful. Caffeine for a lot of us can certainly disrupt sleep.
Oh, interesting. And this would apply to coffee and caffeinated sodas, or any type of thing that would add caffeine to the body.
Sure.
Or
right.
Caffeine supplements or energy drinks or things like that.
Yep.
So is your suggestion though, so what you're saying is that with some people can have sensitivities to that, to the point, even if you're taking it in the morning, it could be impacting or disrupting a healthy sleep pattern.
Correct.
And so your overall advice that we as people seeking better health in ourselves should probably be trying to eliminate or weed that out of our lifestyle and not be so dependent on it, and rather lean towards healthier rest. Is that what I'm understanding?
Right.
And if we're dependent on those things, then there's probably some deeper lying issues.
Yes.
in the body that maybe we should look at addressing so we don't drive our body into complete exhaustion.
Correct. Correct. Right. If you need something in the morning to get you going and you need something at night to calm you down, then right, maybe there's some better overall lifestyle habits that can help sort things out.
Right. And this is something you can help people with in your clinic. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
All right. So if anyone has, I remember Jessica's an autoimmune specialist and using natural pathways to really help. And she's an MD.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if you're struggling with these things, be sure to reach out to Jessica and private message her or whatever, and she can really help direct you on a pathway of healing too. So that's awesome resource we got here on the team edge.
Thank you.
All right.
Perfect.
All right. Let's call it. Call it a time. This one, so it stays relatively short, and
Okay. Good.
and we'll look forward to the next one we do.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds perfect. And if anyone has questions, feel free to post them here and we'll do our best.
Perfect. All right. We're going to end the recording and we'll talk to y'all later.